Hi, so what I'm going to cover today is how to use a kettlebell. Probably one of the best tools for a runner to use. It activates the entire back chain properly. It's very versatile, and you really only need 2, maybe 3 kettlebells to have a complete set to be able to do all of the exercises that we would want to do as runners. But also you can use kettlebells to do general conditioning as well. It doesn't have to be specific to running. What I'm going to go through first is the setup, the correct setup for how to swing. We're going to work on a two-handed swing to start out with. Okay? So, place your feet reasonably wide. You're going to have them slightly wider than shoulders, so your shoulders would fit inside of your heels. Would be a good width to start out with. Hands on the kettlebell. Your back is nice and straight. Squat down onto it. Grab the kettlebell with both hands. Keep the back straight. Swing it back and stand up. I'm going to go through that again. So you're going to keep your back straight. Squat down. Grab the kettlebell. Hike it back like an American football. Hike it back and stand up straight. That's the initial action. From here, once you're up, you'll continue swinging. The swing is taking your butt back. You can see I'm not bending the knees much. This is not a squat. It's a hip hinge. So if you put your fingers on your hip bones, you want to hinge back at the hips. Hinge back, which is basically taking your butt backwards behind you. And then once you move forward, you fire the hips forward all the way, extend the hips, pack the shoulders. Okay? Let me show you what that looks like. You can see I'm taking my butt back. It's going backwards, and then we fire the hips forward. And the swing itself is really easy. This kettlebell is floating up here. I'm not using my arms. You can see my arms are nice and slack. This is not about swinging up with the arms. It's just about firing the hips. And the action is hip firing. You'll see there is a style of kettlebell swing, specifically the CrossFit fraternity. We want to swing a kettlebell to here. If you can swing a kettlebell to there, you're not using a heavy enough kettlebell. The action that we're looking for specifically as runners is we want to work the back chain. By the time the kettlebell gets here, the work is done. The rest of it's just a float. It's about firing up the glutes. So, as you're coming up, you finish, make sure that these glutes are tight. You should be able to feel like you can clench a golf ball between your butt cheeks. That's when you've got it right. It's a solid finish, hips forward, shoulders are packed, chest slightly out. Okay. That's it for the kettlebell swing. We'll work you through a series of moves now, using kettlebells, a very specific workout. 4 different exercises, we'll get to those now. So the first exercise we're going to work through in the sequence of 4 is a goblet squat. Now a goblet squat is taking the kettlebell by its horns, so it looks like a goblet, tuck the elbows in, and you're going to squat down and up. Okay? So keep the kettlebell as close to your chest as you can. One of the things here is, if you find your back is turned around like that, stop there. Don't go any deeper. Either go for a lighter kettlebell, go for an air squat, but if you can't squat all the way down with your back nice and straight, then don't do it. Okay, pretty simple. Remember, with all of these actions, we're looking for the hip hinge. So you're still taking your butt back and straightening your hips. And that's the first exercise. So the second exercise in this set is single leg deadlifts. Now a single leg deadlift without the kettlebell would look like this from the side. You are going to be going down to ankle and then straighten up the leg. Okay, with the kettlebell in your hand, taking the kettlebell on the side where the foot is raised, and up. Try not to let your foot touch the ground. You take it back down, and up to there. And that's it. Once again, at the top, make sure that your finish is with hips forward. So you'll finish out, push those hips forward. Okay, let's just talk about some pointers on that single leg deadlift. Firstly, if you're looking at me from the side, this is not the action. We're not worried about what this leg is doing. This leg is just balancing you. What we are concerned with is the stabilizing leg. So you want the stabilizing leg to be bending just that bit. It's not a full squat, it's just a little bit so you can get your hand to the ground. And then up. Okay? So what this leg is doing is literally just balancing you. That's its purpose. When you look at it from the back, if you find that you are twisting the hip, so lifting that hip up is the wrong action. You want to make sure that your hips are stable so that when you're going down, this hip is staying stable. It is not twisting out. If you find your foot going over here to balance you, you're in the wrong position. Okay? Go with a lighter weight, and if you can't deal with a weight without having to balance with that foot, then just don't use any weights at all and simply do it without a weight. So down and back up again. So this is now the third exercise, and what we will be doing now is a weighted hip raise. So find yourself a bench, a sofa, a chair. We've got a step here. Step is fine. And what we're going to do, take the weight, place it on the hips, shoulders on the bench, and we drop the butt to the floor. Push the hips as high as we can. We're squeezing the knees together. They're not touching, but you're making sure they don't drift apart. And at the top, you're making sure that you squeeze the glutes. So drop it down and squeeze the glutes. You should feel this both in the glutes and the hamstrings. I want you to feel like you're pushing through this foot. Keep the foot flat and push through the feet. Okay, so we've been through 3 different exercises. This is the 4th one. It's the two-handed swing. We demonstrated the two-handed swing to you earlier. This is just the swing now in its logical place in the workout. So remember, get the back nice and straight, hike it back, and straighten up. And you'll just keep firing that just up to chest height. It doesn't have to be any higher than here. Let me demonstrate what that looks like from the side. Same idea, hike it back. And you see, take the bike back. Okay. You should definitely feel the swings in the glutes and the hamstrings. It is not a quad exercise. If you find that your hands are going below your knees when you swing the kettlebell, that's too low. Think of taking your hands down at your zipper, taking the kettlebell down to there.